This is the Italian Citizenship Podcast, hosted by Marco Permunian and Rafael Di Furia. Hello there, and welcome to another edition of the Italian Citizenship Podcast, presented by ItaliancitizenshipAssistance.com. Of course, we are back with the one and only attorney Marco Permunian. How you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Today, we talked about doing a FAQ video about the 1948 cases, about some of the things that really come up the most often. I mean, that's what FAQ, for frequently asked questions, means. So we decided that it was about time to jump back into that topic a little bit, especially because there has been an update as of last December that will be taking effect in just the next little while, depending on when this episode ends up coming out. It could already be updated. So be sure to check out that last episode. But let's just get some things knocked out of the way. Marco, when you go through the process, when you actually are making a court case, what are the documents required for an individual or group of people who are making this 1948 claim?
The documents required are very similar to the documents that you would have to gather to apply for citizenship through a consulate or through an Italian municipality. So there are no major differences there. You still need to get the Italian ancestors, birth certificate, and marriage record, death certificate. So depending on whether you're using the male or female, you're going to need his or her birth certificate, marriage record, death certificate, and of course the naturalization records of the ancestor that you're using. And then all of the birth certificates, marriage records, and death certificates for the individual in the Italian line down to you. Now, probably the only peculiarity could be that for some people, applying for Italian citizenship through a 1948 case is a necessity because the male ancestor cannot be used because he became naturalized before the child, his child was born in America. And that forces you to use the female ancestor. So in that case, it could be useful and advisable to also get the birth certificate for the male ancestor, even if you can't use it, and maybe his naturalization records to prove that you cannot use that ancestor in a consulate or with an application in an Italian municipality to show the judge that your only option is to use your female ancestor. Of course, other people will actually be using the male ancestor because there is then the male ancestor had a female in America who gave birth to her child before 1948. So that's probably the I want to say second most common scenario. And of course, all of these documents need to be official certified copies, and they will need to be apostilled and translated into Italian. And the translations will need to be certified by an Italian court, or you can get them certified in the US by the Italian consulate. Or even there's a third option, which means that you can get them certified by a translator abroad that swears that the translations are accurate before a notary public in the US. Then the documents can be used and submitted to the court.
And also because of what has been coming up recently, that there's going to be a change in the system that you're going to be able to apply in Rome or a local court. What is this going to look like? I mean, of course, we don't have a clear idea yet, and I'm sure we'll be able to say a lot more as some time has passed by. But I mean, is there anything that we can look at to have an idea of the track records of these courts, or how they might rule on special circumstances, or even what the duration of the process might look like in these places? Will it be longer? Will it be shorter? More friendly? Less friendly? Do you have any indication of what these things could look like?
As you said at the beginning of the video, we had a huge update in December of last year. When the government basically made a new law about a lot of things, but one of the provisions in there basically had the goal to decrease the workload of the Court of Rome, which was, I want to say, overworked, or a lot of cases were being presented in Rome by people trying to get Italian citizenship, and people successfully going through this process. So the Italian government realized that the Court of Rome was being overwhelmed by citizenship cases, and introduced the ability to file the case aimed at getting Italian citizenship, obtaining Italian citizenship through the local courts. I just said ability, but at the beginning it sounded like an ability, but the more we go on, the more it sounds like you will be forced to use the local court. So it will not be possible anymore to use the Court of Rome, unless, of course, your ancestor was born in that area. We are waiting on clarifications from the government, but it looks like you'll have to use the local court to file your case. Now, not any local courts, but only the courts located. It's basically, there's a specific way to identify these courts, but just to make it easy for people to understand, it would be like the court in the major city, in the biggest city, in the region, normally in the province, even if there will be some exceptions, depending on the region, there may be 2 courts that you can use. So you have to file in that court that covers basically the area where the municipality where your ancestor was born is located. Now, as you said, the local courts will start hearing these cases in June of 2022. So it's not possible to file a case in a local court prior to June of 2022. But after June, you'll have basically to file there. And a lot of people are wondering what will change. Well, the process will be the same. The only difference is that a local judge will hear your case, which will probably increase the chances that the judge will have heard fewer cases regarding citizenship, which could be a good thing because that could even potentially remove the problem of judges, as we said like a moment ago, judges in Rome ruling against cases involving an ancestor naturalizing when the child was a minor. Maybe that will not happen anymore in the local courts, and just because this is a trend that has been going on in Rome. So it could really be a good thing that the judges have heard fewer citizenship cases than the Court of Rome, which lately has been hearing a lot of these cases. Also, the duration could be positively affected because we could expect a local court to be less overwhelmed with citizenship cases, because as opposed to the past where all of the cases were being presented in one place in Rome, now they're spread out. So fewer citizenship cases per court. Of course, we're talking about Italy, where the bureaucracy is knowingly slow. So I want to say that we can't expect these cases to be processed super quickly. But I want to say, and we will see how things go, that there will be an improvement, an overall improvement.
Well, I definitely hope so. Interesting. And what about the duration of the process? I know that's another question that comes up quite often, because I mean, it's one thing to have all the documents collected, but how long will it take once those documents have not only been collected but submitted, that this whole process will take to go through?
That is a very good question, and a quite hard question to answer, because the duration of the process will depend on a variety of factors. First of all, the judge. There are judges that are very busy. They have a very busy schedule. And in the end, it all comes down to how quickly the judge can set the hearing, meaning that it's, at the end of the day, it's going to be one hearing unless there is a need for a second hearing, but normally there isn't. So the first and only hearing could be as far out as several months, over a year, if the judge has a very busy schedule, or it could be after just a couple of months, a few months, from when the judge is assigned to the case. Taking a step back here, it's actually not just a matter of when the judge sets the hearing, because before a judge is assigned to your case, the president of the court needs to take action. So you first have to file your case, and then the president of the court has to assign a judge to the case. And this whole process, meaning from when you file to when a judge is actually assigned to your case, could take a few months, depending on, especially with the current situation, or in the current situation, the situation that we've experienced in the past couple of years. There were some delays there. Now the situation is getting better, but from when the judge is assigned to your case, then at that point is a matter of how long it takes for the judge to schedule the hearing and how far out the hearing will be. Now, if the hearing is too far out, what you can do, if you have like reasons for urgency, if you need citizenship for very specific urgent reasons, like work-related reasons or health-related reasons, your attorney, and as of course, if you're using ICA, can file a motion to the judge to request an early hearing. The judge may or may not grant an early hearing, depending on whether the judge considers your reasons to be valid enough. Now, after the hearing, you have to wait for the judge to render a final judgment, and that again can take a few weeks up to a few months. And then from when you have the final judgment, all you have to do is basically register the final judgment at the municipality, and then you can apply for an Italian passport. And the registration with the municipality can take anywhere from a few weeks to a couple of months, depending on the workload of the municipality. So at the end of the day, there is no straight answer to this question, because it will depend on the judge that is assigned to your case and on the municipality that you have to deal with for the registration of the judgment and your birth certificate.
And so maybe just a kind of a quick related question. Is it difficult to get one of these court dates? Is it, even though you said it takes time, is it something where you just make a submission or request to be able to present the case, or do you have to go through a process of requesting X, Y, and Z? Because, for example, when somebody is making a claim for iure sanguinis, there can be a wait, and even just going through the process of trying to get an appointment within the systems online can be a little bit tricky. Is there something similar with the court cases that you have to go through with Rome, or what will be coming soon with the local courts? Is that similar at all, or is it more straightforward?
It's a very straightforward process. So it just entails filing your petition through your attorney, and then the office of the clerk of the court will basically put the request in the system, at which point the president of the judge will only have to assign a judge to your case, and then it will be automatic for the judge to set your hearing. And what will happen is that you will hear from your attorney, who will be notified by the court about the hearing date.
Interesting. And I'm also just curious, because there's another topic that ends up coming up a bit about the circumstances that may come up for when a direct ancestor of the individual or group of individuals who are making this claim in front of the court, when their ancestor was a minor child. How does this come up, and what does that look like? How does that affect these cases?
Very interesting question. So quite a few people, they are in a situation where their ancestor, be it the female or the male ancestor, so the ancestor who emigrated from Italy and the ancestor that you're using to make your claim, became a US citizen when the child was a minor, the child born in the US. Now, you may be wondering what's wrong with that, because all the Italian consulates in the US and around the world, or Italian municipalities for people who make their claim in Italy who don't have a 1948 case, for them, this situation, it's a very common situation and it's not problematic. And the same should be for the Italian courts. But recently, in the past couple of years, we have seen a number of judges, luckily that's a minority of judges, that consider this situation as resulting in the child born in the US losing their Italian citizenship. Now, there is no doubt that if the child was born in Italy and emigrated as a baby or a young child to America with their parents, and the parents or the parent became naturalized when the child was a minor, that would result in the parent or parents, but also the child losing Italian citizenship. So there is no question about that. But why these judges are considering that a US-born child will lose their Italian citizenship just because their parents or parent became a US citizen while this child was a minor, that's beyond me. But unfortunately, it's the situation right now, and there are some people who have these cases falling in, let's call it a subcategory of 1948 cases, that have the ancestor who became naturalized when the child was a minor. Well, in these situations, there is a risk of losing your case. But I want to be clear on this. Only if yours is a 1948 case, and only if you have an ancestor who became naturalized when the child was a minor, and only if you are unlucky enough to get one of these judges that is interpreting the law in this wrong way. So the risks are there, but we're talking about very specific situations. And not all the judges use this line of reasoning.
So that's interesting. So kind of just to recap what you were saying is that there is a minor chance that this minor could actually end up affecting the outcome, but you said it's only amongst a minority of the judges, and it's just a random chance if your judge actually has this understanding or not. Is there any way that people have ever tried to maybe make a public appeal to these individuals, or is there an appeal process that if this person, if one of these judges makes this decision that would throw out this case, how would that work? I mean, is this possible? If it is possible, what would be like the duration of this, and how much would this end up adding a lot of costs? Do you have to pay for another filing? Is there a filing fee? How does that all work? And is there any way, or maybe something that people can do to try and publicly sway these opinions? I don't know if that's even a thing, or if it's even a wise decision to try to do.
What you said is correct. And again, it only affects a minority of cases, a minority of situations. But if your case happens to be rejected because you get one of those judges, again, it's a minority of judges that rules against your case, then you have the ability to appeal before the Court of Appeal. And the Court of Appeal for cases that are filed in Rome is also in Rome. And yes, you have to file again for an appeal. There's no need to gather documents again, because you can use the documents that were used with the lower court, which will give them back to you. There is, though, a filing fee to be paid again. So not only you have to pay a filing fee to file your case in the first place, but also you have to pay a filing fee to file with the Court of Appeal, which is a little bit higher than what you paid to file with a lower court. Now, this situation will persist probably until these cases reach the Supreme Court, which is the court in Rome that would have to look at the case if your case was to be rejected again by the Court of Appeal. So until the Supreme Court will basically look at these situations and take a clear decision, we can expect the situation and judges to be a little bit confused. But when the Supreme Court will going one direction, we can expect the lower courts basically to just comply with whatever the Supreme Court end up saying. But we're at the stage where none of these cases reached the Supreme Court. There are a few people that have seen their cases being rejected because of this situation. They're in the stage of the appeal, and a lot of people are winning the appeals. Some of them are not. So there seems to be some confusion and different opinions also within the Court of Appeal. So we'll just have to wait to see what will happen in the future, and if the Supreme Court will ever be involved, and if they will ever take a decision and go in one direction or the other.
So again, just to reiterate, even though this is something that we've been talking about, and because unfortunately there can be a little bit of confusion, this is only in a very rare situation like what Marco has described before. So it's only a minority of people who are dealing with a minority of judges that just by chance happen to be matched up in this unfortunate circumstance where these appeals may become necessary. So if you are somebody going through a 1948 case, this is something that the majority of people should not have to worry about at this point in time. So I think it might actually be worthwhile moving on to the next question after that little clarification in there. But there are a lot of people who are interested in moving to Italy when they get their Italian citizenship, or even just for a brief period of time to experience the country. But there are some people who are maybe a little less patient. I know I would be one of those people. And they want to know if they would be able to live in Italy during the 1948 process.
So there is no visa or residency permit meant for people who filed a 1948 case. And that's because for you to be able to file a 1948 case, you don't really need to be present in Italy, and you don't even have to attend the hearing or hearings, because you are basically giving power of attorney to an attorney, an Italian attorney, who will represent you throughout the whole process, who will file the case for you, who will attend the hearing for you. So because there is no need for you to be present in Italy at any stage of the process, there is no residency permit or visa which is meant for people who start these kind of processes. Now, you can apply for another visa, you can apply for any kind of visa, but not something that is applied for in connection with you filing a 1948 case. So in other words, there is no visa, for example, like for those people who apply for citizenship iure sanguinis by descent. So people who have a normal iure sanguinis case and who decide to file their case in Italy in an Italian municipality, for them, a visa is available because they have to reside in Italy during the process. So there is a specific reason why a visa is available in those specific situations, but not for people who file a 1948 case.
But just, I guess, kind of related to this topic as well as something that I've said a couple of times that maybe would be worthwhile clarifying, that it is possible, in fact, for your company and your law firm and the lawyers that work there to not only represent just one person during this case, but to actually represent a family of individuals who would be making this claim, correct?
Absolutely. Actually, the majority of our clients, they apply together with family members, children, adult children, siblings, parents, even cousins or second cousins. And that's because as long as you share the same ancestor, you can get other people on your case, and basically everyone can be on the same case, which means that you can share the costs, share the attorney, share the documents. So it has several advantages to be on the same case with family members. Of course, you at the end of the day will need more documents, which may delay the process of gathering documents a little bit. So if you really are in a rush, it may be worthwhile considering. But if you're not in an extremely urgent situation, just because we're not talking about huge delays because of all the benefits that I just mentioned, in my opinion, it makes a lot of sense for you to get other family members on board and share the process and the costs with them.
Interesting. And so, because you mentioned that you could have cousins, second cousins, grandparents, parents, children, brothers, sisters, uncles, whatever, is there any limit to the amount of people that can be on one file? Or is there even a recommended maximum, or just whoever's there, whoever wants to be a part of it can be part of it?
Yeah, I'd say neither. Neither there's a limit nor a recommended amount of people. Like I said, if you, and I've come across these situations where there were families with 30 people wanting to apply for citizenship. That's totally fine.
Wow.
And a lot of my clients, they ask me, is there any downside, especially for the judge? Is the judge going to be against us because we are such a large group? And my answer is always, judges are very objective. They don't really care about how many people are filing a 1948 case. It's all about the law and whether these people are entitled to citizenship. So if you are a large group, don't worry, that's totally fine. Now, if you're a 30 people group, just be aware of the fact that you will need birth certificates, marriage records, divorce records, and all of the personal vital records for everyone in the case. So that could cause some delays in filing, because until you have all the documents for all the petitioners, you cannot file the case in Rome and start your case.
Interesting. I mean, I guess I could potentially even see the flip side of that as well, that if you have a family of 30 people all for one court case, it's almost better in a way for the community of people as a whole, so that there's not like maybe 15 different court cases or 30 different court cases. So that maybe, in fact, I don't know, maybe I'm making a wrong assumption here, but for everybody as a whole, it could actually help these procedures to be able to move through faster instead of having another extra 30 odd people in there.
Absolutely.
Well, you know what? Just one last question for this episode, because I know there are a lot of people who are curious to do research about this and to find out more information about the judge that is going to be presiding over their case. Is it possible for somebody to go and research the judgments? Are these court records made public at all? Or can a person go on, even maybe is there an online database where this is available?
Yes, the judgments are public, so anyone can have access to them. Now, is it easy to find them? Probably not for somebody who is not an attorney. There are specific databases in Italy that you have to subscribe to and you have to pay for. Normally attorneys, they have those, they have the access to those databases. There are several types of databases. So for an attorney, definitely it is possible to research these judgments. For a potential candidate to Italian citizenship, probably won't be so easy. And you're going to have to rely on whatever you find on the internet, so probably not much. But for an attorney, it's possible to have access to these judgments, so to see how judges rule in specific situations. But it is also true that not all the judgments are published in these databases often. So you may find that not all the judgments are available, not even to an attorney in Italy.
Well, thank you so much again, Marco, for making yourself available. And of course, if anybody is needing help with this process from you and your team at Italiancitizenshipassistance.com, how can they get in contact with you and your team?
People can contact us through our website, Italiancitizenshipassistance.com, or give us a call. The number is on the website.
Absolutely fantastic. And of course, if you're interested in more content like this about Italian citizenship or even about Italian real estate, make sure that you are subscribed to this channel here on YouTube, or you can subscribe to the audio only podcast, the Italian Citizenship Podcast. But of course, being subscribed to the YouTube channel means that you are automatically also subscribed to the Italian Real Estate Podcast, just with that one simple click. And also, if you're interested in any content about life abroad, living abroad as a dual citizen expat, be sure to come over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rafael Di Furia, where I talk more about life abroad, living abroad, as well as show you a little bit more, exploring kind of the areas where I am, talking about life in Europe as a dual citizen expat, as well as life in Italy as a dual citizen expat. Of course, we have been here yet again with Italian attorney Marco Permunian from Italiancitizenshipassistance.com for another episode of the Italian Citizenship Podcast. And of course, I'm Rafael Di Furia. Stay safe and healthy out there, and we will see you all next time. Later.
Thank you.